In a remote warehouse, a group of unconscious witches lies scattered on the floor, each marked by Eva as she siphons their powers. Among them is the unconscious Davina. Just as Rebecca was about to ask Davina for help to break a curse, Eva, who had awakened, turned Rebecca into her next sacrificial victim. Eva has a particular penchant for targeting children. She uses a dagger to carve symbols into their foreheads, siphoning their power, and then tosses them into the warehouse. Eva is convinced that by sacrificing the power of witches from all 9 covens, she can reset the order of the witching world and gain unprecedented power. This time, her malevolent hand reaches for an infant still in its cradle. Haley comes to check on the baby and immediately senses something wrong with Rebecca. A fierce argument breaks out between them, and Eva mercilessly throws Haley across the room. Hearing the commotion, Klaus rushes in, only to be overpowered by Eva as well. He struggles fiercely, managing to slash Eva's thigh with a single blow. Eva leaps out of the window and vanishes without a trace. The attack on Hope puts every member of the Michelson family on high alert. Klaus reaches out to his sister and begs her to put Rebecca back in her body, but Freya reveals that Eva has gained control of the body, meaning Rebecca's soul is now hiding somewhere unknown. She admits she doesn't know which spell could save Rebecca. Klaus pulls out a chain and binds his sister's hands, declaring that he's taking her to meet someone. Freya protests that her brother needn't be so wary of her, insisting she won't harm Klaus, but Klaus explains that this is to protect someone else. They arrive at the catacombs. Klaus throws a blood bag into the darkness. An old hand quickly reaches out and grabs the bag and hides. Freya is confused, but soon she sees that the vampire hiding in the shadows is none other than their mother, Esther. Klaus drags his mother out of the shadows and demands that she write a spell they can use. Meanwhile, Elijah and Haley visit Josephine. Their truce with the witch covens has fallen apart. Elijah hopes the witches will grant them one more day, promising to find Eva as quickly as possible and ensure the safety of the remaining witches. But Josephine declares that the awakened Eva is extremely dangerous, and she will offer a bounty to the witches to have Eva killed as swiftly as possible, even if it means sacrificing Rebecca, who shares the same body with her. Elijah, seething with anger, declares that if the witches harm Rebecca, the Michelson family will declare war on the coven. Josephine remains unafraid, instead pointing out that darkness is closing in on the Michelsons. She turns and grasps Haley's hand, warning her that the storm she fears the most is about to arrive. Meanwhile, Marcel finds Vincent, who is drowning his sorrows in alcohol. Vincent, disheartened, insists that he will never use magic again. Marcel informs Vincent that Eva has gone missing, and only he can find his wife. Only he can save Rebecca and the other children. With Vincent's help, Marcel quickly tracks down Eva, who is hiding and nursing her wounds. In the blink of an eye, he slaps shackles on her. Using force, Marcel demands that Eva release Rebecca. Vincent, standing by, seems troubled, stating that his wife is strong-willed and unafraid of torture. He suggests that he speak with Eva instead. The couple engages in a heated argument, with Vincent accusing his wife of cruelty, while Eva retorts that her husband betrayed her and became a lapdog for the vampires. Vincent says he doesn't want innocent children to die.
Vincent, I didn't kill any kids! They're still alive, just asleep.
Eva responds that she only wants the children's power, not their lives. Hearing that his wife hasn't harmed any innocents, Vincent seems to waver. Eva continues to persuade her husband, telling him that she only needs one more witch to complete the ritual. Once the sacrifice is made, the entire status of the witching world will change. They will no longer have to fear vampires and werewolves, and those children will return to their families. Marcel, having lost all patience, suggests that violence is still the most straightforward option, but Vincent suddenly turns on Marcel. Without a word, he used magic to hurl Marcel out of the room and then snapped his fingers, releasing his wife from her shackles. Eva abandons her plan to harm Hope and instead sets her sights on Josephine. Meanwhile, Esther has completed writing a spell that could work. Freya, however, remains bitter about her mother's abandonment. Esther seizes the opportunity to sow discord between the siblings, suggesting that Freya is no longer the innocent girl she once was. Dahlia has influenced her for 1,000 years, and like her aunt, she is filled with darkness. Vincent and Eva bring Josephine to Eva's warehouse. With a wave of her hand, Eva casts a revealing spell, and all the missing witches suddenly appear before Vincent. At this moment, Eva has gathered all 9 witches needed for the sacrifice, but then Eva reveals that she lied. The 9 witches must die. Vincent says he can understand the necessity of such a sacrifice. Eva turned away, satisfied, only to be knocked out cold by her husband with a single blow. Vincent had anticipated his wife's trick all along. Marcel quickly receives a call from Vincent, who reveals that everything was part of his plan. He has found all the missing witches, and Davina is still alive.
Had to make it look convincing. If you were in on the plan, Eva would have known.
But Eva is now connected to the children, and it will take a very powerful witch to sever that link. Otherwise, everyone will die with Eva. Freya says she cannot use Esther's spell. She explains that she is alone in this world, with no one to anchor her. She would become lost in Eva's mind along with Rebecca. She suggests that Klaus serve as her anchor, but Esther points out that this would allow Freya to enter Klaus's mind without resistance, giving her access to all his secrets. Klaus immediately refuses the idea, but Elijah arrives just in time and offers to be the anchor if it means bringing Rebecca back. Klaus is still hesitant. Freya, losing patience, interrupts their argument. She easily breaks free from her shackles and, with a single move, snaps Klaus's neck before leading the way outside. The group arrives at the warehouse, where Marcel places the unconscious Eva in the center of a circle. Marcel and Vincent will enter Eva's mind together. They must find Rebecca before they can kill Eva, or Rebecca will be gone forever. Vincent asks if he can bring a weapon inside. Freya pulls out a dagger and chants a spell. She tells Vincent it might hurt a bit, then plunges the blade into his arm. With everything prepared, Freya grabs Elijah's hand and begins reciting the spell. As the spell takes effect, an invisible force pulls Freya backward. The two men lying on the ground soon awoke in the realm of consciousness. Vincent is still consumed by the pain in his arm. Marcel, who had Rebecca on his mind, ran off without a trace. Vincent is left to continue on his own. Klaus soon awakens, and the mother is still pleading with Klaus to give her a second chance. Unmoved, Klaus walks away without a second thought. Marcel soon finds Rebecca hiding in a cupboard, but Eva's figure also emerges from the darkness. Marcel urges Rebecca to run while he faces Eva alone, but without a weapon. Marcel is no match for Eva. In the real world, Freya continues to struggle to maintain the spell, but blood has already started to trickle from the corner of Marcel's eye. His life in the conscious world is hanging by a thread. Fortunately, Vincent arrives just in time, calling out to Eva. He tries once again to deceive his wife into trusting him, but having already been betrayed once, Eva sees through his ruse. Vincent hadn't even managed to use the dagger before it slipped from his hand. Eva restrained Vincent, leaving him on the brink of death. In the real world, Freya is barely holding on. At the critical moment, Klaus arrives and grabs hold of his sister and brother, anchoring them. Freya chants the spell once more. In the conscious world, Vincent feels a surge of power and rises to his feet. A couple entangled in love and hate is destined to end each other. Eva, with tears in her eyes, strikes down her husband. Just as she is about to claim victory, the young Rebecca plunges the dagger into her body. Marcel and Vincent wake up, and the spell is broken. Everyone was left in confusion. Marcel rushes to check on Davina. Finding that all 9 unconscious witches have awakened, he holds Davina tightly in his arms. Rebecca, lying on the ground, also soon regains consciousness. The spell has succeeded, and everything has settled. Rebecca stares blankly at her portrait. Klaus suggests she can torment Esther a bit longer, making her write another spell to return Rebecca to her own body. But Rebecca says that although Eva is gone, her body is still connected to Davina and the other witches. If this body dies, Davina will inevitably die as well. She wishes to retain her identity as a witch for the time being, as she still needs to bring Cole back from the world of the dead. Freya, who saved the 9 witches, earns Josephine's respect, and the entire New Orleans coven now considers her one of their own. The relationship between the Michelson family and the witches is also softened as a result. Freya walked alone towards the underground tomb, telling her mother that she was not Dahlia's pawn. It was her mother who had handed her over to the devil.
You are no longer my mother, but I am not her child.
Freya places her index finger on her mother's forehead, and with a scream of agony, Esther dissolves into a flock of birds. The once mighty 1,000-year-old witch is thus reduced to nothing. Dahlia finally makes her move, possessing Jackson's body and using magic to send a message to Haley.
I am here. I am everywhere. And I intend to take what is mine.
The Michelson family officially begins the battle to protect Hope. Freya explains that this is a large-scale surveillance spell. Dahlia can turn every tourist on the street into her eyes and ears. Freya prepares a special tea and distributes it to each family member, explaining that it will prevent them from being possessed by Dahlia, but Klaus refuses to accept it. Elijah suggests that he can rally the witches to create a safe house that is impervious to magic. Freya proposes using Jackson, who had been possessed, To track Dahlia's movements, she has already sent their father to find a special item, capable of forging a dagger powerful enough to kill Dahlia, but Klaus insists that the best defense is a good offense, intending to resolve the problem through sheer strength. Meanwhile, Davina is at the cemetery mourning Cole. Klaus approaches Davina, asking for her help in locating Michael. In return, he offers Cole's remains, necessary for the resurrection spell. Davina agrees to the deal. They soon find Michael. The father and son's reunion is anything but warm, filled with intense hostility. Michael immediately lashes out, ready to kill, but in an unprecedented move, Klaus proposes they work together.
Care to join your bastard son on the witch hunt?
Davina draws a circle of salt on the ground, forming a ritualistic pattern. Michael then produces the items his daughter had instructed him to find: soil from Dahlia's homeland, Viking ashes, and Freya's blood. Michael pulls out a dagger, asking Davina to fuse these three elements into a weapon. Freya marked Jackson with a symbol, explaining that she needed to link with Rebecca's energy in order to track Dahlia's whereabouts. But Rebecca, who was linked to her sister, was terrified because she saw Dahlia standing right behind Freya.
You're the reason Dahlia is able to cast such powerful spells. She's channeling you.
Freya is equally shocked by this revelation, realizing that her aunt has found her. Upon learning the truth, Haley quickly becomes wary of Freya. Rebecca gently asks Freya to leave, and with tears in her eyes, Freya departs, disheartened. As Freya walks down the street, the passers-by eerily begin to surround her, silently staring at her. The once noisy street suddenly falls into complete silence. Freya turns to flee, only to run straight into Dahlia. With a wave of Dahlia's hand, the bystanders instantly return to normal. Dahlia accuses Freya of running from her for centuries, warning that Freya has chosen the wrong allies in this fight. She vows to soon kill every member of Freya's family. Freya rushes back to the mansion to deliver the news, informing them that Klaus and Michael have fallen into their aunt's trap. As Freya had warned, Klaus and Michael track Dahlia's minions to a church. Dahlia is standing in front of the church pulpit, and she is keenly aware of the dagger in Michael's hand. She raises her hands and makes a gesture, summoning a horde of minions that surround Klaus. Father and son go into battle mode and gradually gain the upper hand, but Dahlia imbues her minions with her magic, turning the tide in an instant. Klaus and Michael are brutally overpowered, collapsing to the ground. However, the power of the hybrid Klaus and the vampire hunter Michael is not to be underestimated. The two quickly repelled all the minions. Dahlia calmly claps her hands, remarking that all heroes meet a tragic end. With just a simple gesture, she effortlessly took control of Michael, causing the dagger in his hand to drop to the ground. Klaus falls to his knees as well, his face turning blue. Klaus once again finds himself in a dire situation, utterly overpowered by the millennia-old witch Dahlia. Unable to move, he struggles desperately to reach for the dagger, only to be effortlessly knocked aside by Dahlia with a single gesture. Dahlia steps toward Michael, declaring that she will take her time killing him. At that moment, Freya arrives just in time. Dahlia releases Michael and taunts her niece, telling her how weak her family truly is. Freya fights back with all her might, but Dahlia swiftly seizes her by the throat. Seeing his beloved daughter in peril, Michael flies into a rage, grabbing a wooden stake and driving it into Dahlia's body. Elijah arrives just in time, taking the opportunity to feed his brother some blood. Dahlia rose in anger, pulled the wooden stake from her body, and with a single motion, sent Elijah flying. Klaus seizes the moment, grabs the dagger, and with a powerful leap, crashes down, shattering the church's pulpit. Dahlia and the dagger disappeared together. The hunt was a failure. They've lost the only weapon that could kill Dahlia. As they begin to regroup, Dahlia suddenly reappears before them. Without hesitation, Dahlia destroys the dagger and once again declares that she has no desire to wipe them out, she only wants hope. But if they continue to resist, the consequences will be unbearable. Jackson decides to take Haley and Hope back to the bayou, not wanting to be further entangled in the Michelson family's conflicts. He tells Aiden to have the car ready at 8:45 to pick them up. At 9 o'clock, Marcel is supposed to come and take them to a safe house protected by a witch's spell, but Aiden worries that Klaus might kill him for his involvement. As he frets, Josh stumbles upon him. Aiden feels torn between betraying his pack and fearing Klaus's wrath. Josh advises him to prioritize his own safety. Haley and Jackson, holding their child, wait at the street corner, but Aiden never shows up, too scared to step forward. As time ticks away, Marcel arrives first to find Haley and her family. Their escape plan has failed. Haley pretends nothing is wrong, scolding Marcel for being late. and then they follow him to the safe house. The Michelson family's morale plummets after their initial defeat, with the mood becoming increasingly somber. Freya laments that the only weapon capable of killing her aunt is gone, leaving them in a seemingly hopeless situation. But Klaus insists that the dagger can be remade. There's plenty of soil from their homeland, and Freya's blood is practically limitless. As for the Viking ashes, though difficult to find, it's not impossible. Klaus grabs the white oak stake and drives it into Michael's heart. In his father's final moments, Klaus asks why Michael could never show him a shred of kindness. Michael coldly replies that he never thought about a reason, he simply acted on his instincts. This scene mirrors our own lives. When you long for an apology from your parents, they may not even realize they were wrong. Klaus killed his father once again.
Viking ash is indeed rare. But all you really need is a burning Viking corpse.